We're going to have to wait an extra day because they play on Monday. But I really believe the 49ers can punch the Panthers in the face immediately on Monday Night Football, and it will knock them out for the rest of the game. Plus, we have our picks, as always. It's all coming up on today's Gold Standard Podcast. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard Podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I am Rob Stats Guerrera. She is Michelle Majuk. How are you, Michelle?
Hey, I'm fantastic. Have my mimosa. I'm going on a trip right after this. It's going to be a great time.
Ooh. And I assume there'll be more mimosas on the trip?
Of course. I mean, yeah, unlimited.
Right. Even if you weren't going anywhere, there'd be more mimosas.
Unlimited.
Oh, geez. That's all the Russell Wilson talk I want on today's show. Got a lot to break down. Panthers coming to town this week. Monday Night Football. We got a new kicker in town, which I'm terrified of, Michelle. Do not like what the 49ers are doing there. But there's a lot, as always, going on with this team. But for the first time in forever, Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall practiced in full. What a time to be alive.
It's fantastic. And you know what? Watching last week's game with everybody there, it was so great. And now maybe it is the Cardinals defense is just that bad, but I don't know. Everything looks so smooth and Brock looks so great. I was not expecting Brock Purdy to come out and I was expecting him to be rusty, and he was not. Like, he looked so good. I would love to see Ricky Pearsall more involved, but they just didn't need him last week either. It wasn't necessary. They got ahead so fast. So I'm excited to see what they can do now. Second week, I do think the Panthers can be a little bit more competitive on offense and maybe stay in this game a little bit more to put some force on the 49ers to keep throwing throughout the game.
Yeah, it was like the perfect start for the 49ers because they get the kick return, they get the touchdown after one play. So not only are you automatically up, but then also Brock Purdy comes in and he goes decompletion to Jennings, 12-yard completion to DeMarcus Robinson, 30-yard touchdown to George Kittle. And you're like, oh, okay, he's back. We're up 14 points and we're off and running. And here's the difference between the Cardinals and the Panthers. The Cardinals are a bad team. They're bad. The Panthers aren't bad. The Panthers are mid. That's the difference. They're mid. The Cardinals will beat themselves, right? We saw 17 penalties, the most since FDR was in office for that franchise. The Panthers are not going to totally beat themselves. The Panthers are mid, not bad. That's the difference.
Yeah, and they're inconsistent is really what it is. Like, they can have really good games. We saw them go into Lambeau and beat the Packers because their defense is surprisingly better than they should be. Like, they don't really have the pieces. Like, you don't really understand how it's happening. And they were so bad last year. Now, they've still had really bad defensive games this year against the Bills, and even last week against the Falcons, they still let 27 points. But again, you saw in Lambeau in week 9, they held the Packers to 13 points, won 16-13. They held the Saints 17 points. They held the Jets to 6, but I mean, that's the Jets. They've had some really good defensive games. So that's your worry, that they come out and play a good defensive game. Your worry is Bryce Young looks like he did last week and not like he has the rest of the year. But I do think they should be able to handle business. And this is a revenge game for Christian McCaffrey. Let's see what he could do against the Panthers. I think this is his first game ever playing against them.
It is. They say living well is the best revenge. And certainly Christian has been living well in San Francisco. 1M Bolts, YouTube channel member for 3 months, says, what's up, Rob and Michelle? Let's get a rare even week win. A lot of talk about that this week, Michelle, about how the Niners, have been alternating wins and losses since they started 3-0. And do they get too high after wins and all of this stuff? And I really think that that's been a good thing for them because I think it's, put the focus on all of that. And I do think the 49ers recognize where they are. And just quickly, look, we know they're 7-4, right? We know that they have won all 7 games against the NFC. You want to win because you want to get that 8th game, but also you got to keep up with the Joneses, right? The Lions are behind you right now. They're playing the Giants with no Jackson Dart. That's probably going to be a win. Plus, the Lions are coming off getting spanked by the Eagles, so they're going to be fired up. Although, terrible news about Sam Laporta. I don't know if you saw that, Michelle. He's probably not going to play the rest of the year after back surgery, which has got to scare you. But you're ahead of Carolina, but obviously you're playing them, so you need to win that game. And you're chasing Seattle and you're chasing Green Bay, and they both have very winnable games. Seattle's playing the Titans this week. That's a win. And the Packers are playing the Vikings. So, you got to be on your business. There's all the reason in the world to handle this game with a sense of urgency, in addition to all the 2 games in a row stuff. So I don't think the 49ers are going to fall into that trap.
No, I mean, it has been every other game they've won, so they have to get over that, right? Stop losing every other game. But with this, if this game was in Carolina, I think I'd be a little bit more nervous that this could be a trap game. I think
Yep.
this game being in San Francisco, with there seems to be more energy there, that these guys are back. The Kittle, Pearsall, and Brock Purdy, they're all back. The offense is excited. Do I think the defense is going to play super well? No. Like, they're going to allow 20, 25 points, right? And the offense is going to have to put up more than 25 points to win the game, but their offense is clicking. I think they will do that. And I think the majority of the games that they have left, they're going to have to win with their offense.
Oh, for sure. That is clearly the stronger unit, but I agree with you. Like, first of all, we have seen when the Niners play at home in prime time, almost always they come out with an energy and an urgency and they're fired up. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen, because you're right. We haven't seen the band all together yet at home, because they started in Seattle on the road and Kittle immediately got hurt and Purdy immediately got hurt. This is it now, right? The atmosphere in Levi's, I think, is going to be electric. I think it's going to surprise the Panthers a little bit what it's like. And that's why I've continued to say, I think that they got to take the ball first if they get it. If they win or if they, whatever, you want the ball first. You want to come down and start exactly like you started against Arizona. Chunk plays, punch them in the mouth, and immediately all of a sudden they're like, whoa, it's 7-0. They went right down the field. The crowd is going absolutely crazy. If you happen to get, a 3-and-out or stop Carolina on their first possession, now all of a sudden you got a chance to go up 2 scores, and this game could get away from Carolina right out of the jump.
It really could. And I love the special teams. Keep doing that. Keep doing your thing, because that changes games completely and just really derails your opponents when you get a good special teams play. But I will say, I know you're comparing the 49ers to other wildcard teams. They're still in this race for the NFC West,
Yes.
even after, losing to the Rams. But we're going to be the biggest Tampa Bay fans ever this week. They have to take down the Rams. I don't think it happens. I think the Rams will win, but then the Rams still have to go to Carolina. They still have the Lions on their schedule. They still have at Seattle on their schedule, like a lot of tough games in there. So the 49ers could crawl their way back.
Yes, they're definitely not ruled out of the NFC West. Now, they need some help to get there, just because the other 2 teams have better records right now. But the wild card, like, if they win, if they handle their business, they're not going to need help from anybody. They'll be one of the wild card teams. They are a wild card team as of this show. So I'm not ruling them out of the West. I agree with you, and I will be so rooting for Baker Mayfield this week. Like, just do some crazy stuff. I was looking at the Rams schedule really quick. They have played the weirdest schedule, Michelle. Almost all their games have been against AFC teams. I don't know why, because I was looking at like their conference record, and I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, they beat Houston. They beat Tennessee. They beat Indianapolis. They beat Baltimore. They beat Jacksonville. They've only played 4 games against the NFC, and 2 of those were against the Niners, or 5 games. Philly, San Francisco, New Orleans, and Seattle. A lot of AFC teams for them.
Yeah. And they've handled business. I mean, the Rams look really, really good. I don't want to take anything away from them. It is crazy at the moment that one of the Seahawks, Packers, 49ers, or Lions would have to be out of the playoffs, and they all look like really good playoff teams. Now, maybe the Bears end up falling apart. The key is to lose the Steelers this week, please. And I would guess right now, looking at this playoff schedule, that the Lions sneak in, the 49ers are in, the Packers are in, and then the Bears end up falling out.
The Bears schedule gets a lot tougher. You want to know something crazy? You think that's crazy? We could potentially live in a world where Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen all miss the playoffs. Like, Josh Allen they're the 6th seed right now, and the other 2 are out. I know we got a long way to go, but who the hell would have thought that? If you would ask somebody, name the best 4 quarterbacks in the league, they would have said Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. And they all could miss the playoffs.
I mean, I still think Josh Allen's one of the best in the league, and obviously Mahomes and Lamar. The Texans defense just played lights out last night. They were, Josh Allen was sacked a career high 8 times. He had no time back there. It was crazy. I still thought he was going to pull it off at the end, but the defense stepped up. It was a really fun game. Yeah, I did not expect the division winners right now entering week 12 for the AFC to be the Broncos, the Patriots, the Colts, and the Steelers. I don't think we would have guessed any of those 4.
What year is it? Are we back in 2012? Like, what are we doing here? It's crazy. D'Amico Ryans, that defense is legit. I heard somebody say, I forget who it was. I think it was someone on Twitter. It wasn't me, but I saw this tweet and I had a thought. It was like, if the Niners defense had everybody healthy, they would look like the Texans defense. And it's like, yeah, pretty much, because they'd have better talent and it's pretty much the same scheme.
I don't think they have better talent. They don't have a Derek Stingley on their team whatsoever.
No, they would have better. The Niners would have better talent than the Niners have now.
Oh, well, yeah. I thought you meant better talent than the Texans. I was like, I don't even think that's close to accurate because Jalen Petrie is also by far the best secondary out of all two teams too. Well, outside of Stingley. But yeah, the Texans defense is looking amazing. The 49ers would be looking like the scariest team in the NFC, I think, right now, going into week 12 if they still had Nick Bosa and Fred Warner.
Or just one of them. By the way, did you see the video Fred Warner posted? He was like flexing his ankle. And they asked Kyle yesterday, like, hey, is there any chance he could come back for the playoffs? And he was like, well, I don't think so. I don't really know. And it's like,
if anyone could do it, it would be Warner. Played on the fracture last year.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. Like he played on a fractured ankle. Look, we have seen Terrell Owens played on one ankle pretty much. Jerry Rice came back from an ACL in the same season in which he tore it. Like guys do crazy stuff. I hope we get to that point where it becomes a real question. I'll say that because if you added Fred Warner to the middle of this defense, like then all of a sudden it goes from them not being a complete liability. Then all of a sudden you're like, all right, we don't have to score 30 points a game to win. Whereas now I think they do.
And what's interesting is there really isn't a team in the NFC where you're like, oh man, the 49ers can't beat, right? There's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of teams in the mix for the playoffs, but even the Eagles sitting at the top right now, they don't look like an unbeatable team. The Rams, the 49ers already beat them, even though, the Rams had a much better game the second game, but Stafford can be up and down. Who knows how he's playing at that time in the playoffs? And then the rest of the teams, the Buccaneers, the Bears, the Seahawks, like you're not petrified of any of this.
Nope, I completely agree with you. But they got
Sam Darnold with 4 interceptions. My goodness, put him in a big stake game where you got to win to keep up in your division and put him out. Yeah, it's just he's going to fall apart every time.
And you get pressure on that dude, and he's the drop off is so stark. Like it is, he looks like a completely different guy. But anyway, I don't talk about other teams anymore. Let's talk about the Niners. They're playing the Panthers. Johnny Dell and I did a video yesterday in our film breakdown, which I thought was really eye-opening to me because he showed how, because Brock is chunking teams with these plays, the secondary, specifically the safeties, are slower to react when the Niners did run the ball later in the game, which is why we saw Christian McCaffrey look as good as he looked. When he has more space, he's going to gain more yards. That could be something, that could be a difference that we see with Brock back now. And I think it would be a massive lift to this offense because we know Kyle wants to run the ball and you just lessen your chance of turnovers when you run the ball, period, end of discussion. And we know with this Niners team, when they don't beat themselves, they don't lose very often.
Yeah, 6.2 yards per carry last week. The running game was on. Now, I will say I was frustrated because I almost went 4 for 4 on my bets, but Christian McCaffrey was a few yards short, and only because they were up by so much and he didn't have to play the whole game. Although I did think Shanahan had him in for too long. Like they should have went to Brian Robinson Jr. a little bit earlier. I know Robinson wasn't, excelling like Christian McCaffrey, but come on, let's keep him healthy when you can. But yeah, the running game getting going is great. And it's not easy to run against this Panthers defensive line this year. So hopefully they can keep that going because on the other side, the Panthers and Rico Dowdle have really got it clicking with their run game.
I think the Niners are going to have to use the pass game to open up the run. I think they're going to have to show where Brock is hitting these, 15, 20-yard pass plays down the field to where if the defense doesn't adjust in some sort of way, then Brock is just going to carve them up. And then once they do, we know that is where Kyle excels. It's like, all right, you've adjusted to what I'm doing. Guess what? Now I'm doing this other thing and you're in trouble. And that is, I think, how the 49ers are going to operate. There's no reason to think they can't do it against the Panthers. The Panthers rushing the passer are basically what the 49ers are rushing the passer. And we know what that is. And it's not very good. And if you don't get pressure on Brock Purdy, I just can't see a world where he doesn't score a whole bunch of points.
No, and I'm excited for Brock Purdy in this matchup. And Christian McCaffrey, what he's doing in the passing game. Like, even last week, they didn't even need him very much. Still put up 40 receiving yards. He has 732 receiving yards this season. That is 9th most in the NFL. I mean, looking at the Panthers top guy, it's Teteroa McMillan at 748, right? Like only 12 yards behind him, and they both played 11 games. So or 16 yards. I can do math, I promise. 16 yards behind him. And I mean, I like McMillan a lot, but like seeing like your running back being able to put up those numbers, well, you just got back Kittle, who's putting up monster numbers, and you just got back Pearsall, who should be putting up numbers again once he gets back out there and comfortable. That is a great sign. And right now, Christian McCaffrey is leading the league in scrimmage yards at his age, coming off the injury he did last year. Like, it's just really impressive, everything he's doing.
And the McCaffrey, like, it's not even like, oh, it's a 5-yard dump off or a pass behind the line of scrimmage. Last week, they ran a 15-yard comeback on 3rd and 15, and Brock threw it from the opposite hash and completed it. And then on the next play, he got a 20-yard run, which was the longest run for him this season and for the 49ers this season. He's absurd. He's an absurd football player. And I think this offense is going to get rolling. I think it's going to just get better and better as the season goes along. Like you said, they didn't get anything out of Pearsall last week. I think part of that was because of the special teams and the field position. Like their drives didn't have to be as long as they normally are. I think the Niners started it basically at like the average start is like the 40-yard line. So I think we'll see more Pearsall this week. I'm not worried about that. He looked good. I saw some of the plays on film where he's cooking guys and Brock took a sack, so he couldn't throw it to him. But like, I think he's going to get rolling. He's practicing in full now. And I just handle it Monday night. Come out, give me 2 touchdowns right off the bat. And I think Carolina is never going to be able to catch up. I can't see a world where Carolina comes from behind and steals this game from the 49ers.
Yeah, and that's what they've been doing to win. I think their last 2 games that they've won, they were down by 14 points in that game. I just don't see the 49ers allowing that comeback that happened. Young does have shockingly 10 career game-winning drives in his career. It's the most in the NFL since being drafted in 2023. You would never expect that. The next guys below him are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts at 9 game-winning drives apiece. Now, it's because the Panthers are always behind, so when they do win, they have to come back. But still, I was shocked by that. So even if they are up entering the 4th quarter, I guess we have to still be worried. It's not something you would think about for the Panthers. However, I think the 49ers are coached well enough not to let that happen. And clearly Shanahan is not sitting his guys when they're up, because that was not what was happening last week. I was expecting Mac Jones to come into the 4th quarter, and that didn't happen. He just kept going with Purdy.
Well, he eventually did come in, but yeah, it was.
He didn't even have a pass, right?
No, he didn't. I don't think he had a pass. Yeah, Kyle keeps saying like, whoa, we had this one game, this one time where a team came back. He acts like if you take them out, you can't put them back in the game again. That's the weirdest thing. It's like, no, just take them out. Don't let them take off the helmets and the jersey. Just tell them to chill on the sideline. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Yeah. Do you think that Robert Saleh's defense will be able to stop the running game of the Panthers? Because that's another thing. You want to get up multiple scores on them because the best thing they do is run. And if you're up by multiple scores, you really take that away.
And I will say, like, Rico Dowdle was on fire when he first took over as the starter, putting up monster numbers. The last 2 weeks, it hasn't been like that. The Falcons, he put up only 45 rushing yards on 19 carries, 2.4 yards per carry. The week prior against the Saints, only 53 rushing yards on 18 carries, 2.9 yards per carry. So it has come down for him. And the Falcons are one of the easier run defenses as well. So I do think that the 49ers won't let, like, Dowdle go off, but he is going to get close to 20 carries, and if they do let him have one of those monster games like he's had this year with 183 yards or 206 yards, then they're gonna lose, right? That you can't win in a game like that when your opponent is just destroying you on the ground. So hopefully they don't let that happen.
I really hope not. And if you do stop him, then the only other thing you got to worry about is Tedero McMillan, who, like, if I were the Panthers, just put him in the slot every time against Upton Stout. How much taller than, I mean, isn't he? How tall is Ted McMillan? He's big, right?
He's like 6'5".
Yeah. Upton Stout is like my height. He might even be shorter than me. Let me see. Upton Stout.
And they have Xavier Legette, who's pretty tall as well, and a monster of a man.
Yeah, Upton's 5'9". He's literally shorter than me. Ted is 6'5". Just put him in the slot and run slot fades. That's what I would do all the time if I was a Panther. Any third down, anytime you need it, just do that. Look, maybe teams are catching on more and more, but those are the 2 things: Dowdle and then Tet, and that's it.
And I do like Xavier Legette this week. We're going to talk about these players when we get to our picks of the week, but The 49ers secondary is not coming through. Now, it was very exciting for Lenore to get that interception. That was a good play. But overall, I mean, Michael Wilson could just do whatever he wanted against that defense. What was he at? Like 40 receiving yards for the game he needed that I said to pick, and he got 180 something yards, 185. It was crazy. But yeah, they just cannot. They're lucky, not lucky, but it was huge for him to get that lead right off the bat because as the game started going, they couldn't stop this passing game to save their life.
I know. I think that's part of that was the plan from the 49ers defense, but also like they really don't have a choice. Like don't allow big plays and hopefully hold them to as many field goals in the red zone as you can is sort of the 49ers defensive game plan. And I kind of understand it, quite frankly, because they can't rush the passer. I actually heard an interesting strategy from Dieter on Dieter and Hutch podcast. He was saying they shouldn't try to rush Bryce Young to sack him. What they should try to do is kind of form up the pocket around him and just have their D linemen get their hands up. Because number one, Bryce Young is tiny in the pocket. In fact, he was even saying like a lot of times he has to drop back extra deep in the pocket just to see over the offensive line. But also, Niners got some hogs on that D line that are big. Alfred Collins is 6'5" and big. Keon White is 6'5". Jordan Elliott's 6'4". Bryce Huff is 6'3". Just get around Bryce Huff and put your hands up because you're going to knock passes down or you're going to tip them in the air and create interception opportunities for your defense. And maybe that's the better way to go because you're not getting to Bryce Young because you're not getting to anybody.
Yeah, they're not getting to anyone whatsoever. They have the lowest quarterback pressure rate in the league, and it's only gotten worse and worse and worse throughout the year with all these injuries. So you're not getting into him. The worst thing would be to let Bryce Young step up, right? Like to come try to sack him, and then he gets all the space to step up and throw the ball with a clear view without the guys in front of him. So I really like that plan, right? Like just get in his face. Even if you don't sack him, if you put your hands up, he is so tiny. He's going to have a really hard time. Like they could have a ton of batted passes in this game if they just focus on that. So I really like that game plan. I think that would be the right way to go.
He's listed at 5'10", which if he's listed at 5'10", you know he's shorter than 5'10". Like I'll never forget when I met Kyler Murray at the Super Bowl one year and he walked up and I was like, holy crap. I almost said out loud, like, you're small, which is crazy because I'm, 5'10" and 140 pounds. Yeah. So clearly I'm small, but when you see him in you're like, wow. Like, it's so weird to look at somebody like that and then look at somebody like George Kittle or one of these massive defensive linemen and be like, yeah, these two guys play the same sport.
I mean, it is crazy and I mean, these shorter guys are now like admitting to not being able to see the field very well. Right. And it's not something that you would think they would admit to, but they are. And you can see it happening. Didn't even Brock Purdy say it's pretty hard to see over the offensive lineman? Oh, yeah. And Brock is 6'1" supposedly. So he's even bigger than Bryce Young. And if he can't see, I mean, look, it's physics, like, or I don't know what the right term is, but like, if something's taller than you, you can't see over it. Like, it's not that difficult to comprehend. People act like it's a big revelation. It's like, no, he's just shorter than the offensive lineman. Very true. I mean, it doesn't seem to be a massive issue overall, except for certain guys. Like, it really seems to be a problem for Kyler Murray throughout his career. I think there is a height limit where it's like, ooh, you can really, really see it, right? With the Bryce Youngs and the Kyler Murray, where they're really struggling because they're just a little too tiny. And if you have, like, Brock Purdy's not super tiny. He's just not 6'5". He's smaller. Yeah. But yeah, he's not as small as Bryce Young. No, Baker Mayfield is getting it done though, because Baker's awesome. By the way, Ted McMillan, how is he 6th in receiving yards in the NFL when Bryce Young doesn't throw for 200 yards a week? He had a monster game. He's had some really big games, and he's been pretty consistent overall with a lot of like 60 to 70 yard games, and then a couple big games. Like last week, he had 130 yards and a couple touchdowns. He had a breakout game. So Tyrell McMillan's really good. That's the reason why he was drafted 9th overall. Or Kyle 8th, whatever it was singing his praises this week, and there were some rumors that the Niners were trying to trade up to get Ted McMillan. Which, oh man, can you imagine he and Pearsall in the same? Oh my God, with Kittle and McCaffrey. Woo! They could have used that this year with all the injuries. And now that we know what happened with Michael Williams, it's kind of like you're not able to say what if that's what they should have done or not. But
well, you certainly wish that the bare minimum, the damn guy could play, whoever the Niners took. It's such a bummer that he's not. Oh, God. Don't even get me started on the injuries. All right. Let's make our picks in a second. But before we do, I want to remind you, we always make our picks with Sleeper, and you should too, because it's super easy to use. And if you get your picks right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. All you got to do is pick higher or lower on a ton of different stats and categories that they have: receiving yards, passing yards, fantasy points, which I know you did. I think it was 2 weeks ago, Michelle. You went with a couple of fantasy point options. You hit both of them, of course, because you've been absolutely crushing it. You are carrying. It's official now. I had another kind of so-so week. You are carrying us picks-wise, so thank you. But regardless, listen to us, and again, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Check out Sleeper. If you just sign up, you'll get a free $20 entry. You don't need to deposit any money. Look around, have some fun, and if you like it and you do want to deposit your money, use our code GSP to get up to a 100% match on your first deposit, up to $100. Again, use the code GSP. Sleeper's currently operational in over 25 states. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and check them out today. All right, Michelle, I'm going to give you full credit. You are carrying us, as I said. You were 4 out of your 5 picks last week hit. And the one you missed, I think you missed by like a half a yard, which was Christian McCaffrey's total yards. I was not as good. I got 3 out of my, well, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 5 picks. I got 3 out of my 5 picks wrong. Unfortunately, I was in on Ricky Pearsall maybe a week too early. So that didn't help me. And Brock didn't throw a pick. I thought for sure he was going to throw a pick. He did have a couple of questionable throws, but none were caught. So I didn't have my best week. So once again, you have honors. Where do you want to go?
I'm going to start with the 49ers. I do have some Panthers ones, but I'm going to start with Brock Purdy. More than 1.5 passing touchdowns in all 3 games he has played this year. He has had 2 or more passing touchdowns through 3 last week. And the Panthers overall haven't allowed a ton of passing touchdowns, but week 11, they allowed 27 points, but those went to the running backs. And Michael Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins aren't like big pass touchdown guys. But Tyler Shook just in week 10 threw 2 against them. We had Dak Prescott and Tua and Drake May all throw 3 or 2 passing touchdowns against the Panthers this year. So it's not like they haven't let it happen. So I'm taking Brock Purdy more than 1.5 passing touchdowns.
I absolutely had this down as well for one. Look, we keep saying the 49ers have to score 30 points a game, right? They got to score 30 points a game. So that's 4 touchdowns, 5 depending. George Kittle's not going to have all of them, or I should say Christian McCaffrey is not going to have all of them, right? Like somebody's going to have to throw this damn thing. So I agree with you. I thought that was for sure a safe pick because Christian McCaffrey could still get 2 and Brock could still end up throwing 2 like easily. So it's not, pick your poison. You don't have to go that route. I had more than 1.5 passing touchdowns as well. So I like that pick by you, especially if the Niners, can get a couple of these chunk plays or a big special teams play. I feel like Brock sometimes goes hunting. Sometimes he's like, all right, we just had a big play. I'm going to make another big play. And sometimes it gets him into trouble, but sometimes it doesn't. And he just ends up having a really good day.
You can't tell me Kittle's not catching a touchdown in this game, right? So Kittle's going to catch one and he just needs to throw to one other guy. I
keep saying all Brock does is throw touchdowns to George Kittle. 45% of Kittle's career touchdowns have come from Brock Purdy. I don't know why other Niners quarterbacks didn't throw it to him. He's figured out if you chuck it to 85, usually that's pretty good. Okay, I'm going back to the well. I know it burned me, but I'm going back. I'm never wrong. I'm just early. I'm going to take Ricky Pearsall more than 42.5 receiving yards in the game. I was completely stunned that he was just basically not even targeted last week, but it was his first week getting back. He's practicing in full this week. Brock is practicing in full this week. So I'm going to say that I was not wrong. I was just early on Ricky Pearsall. We know he was crushing this early in the year when he was healthy and they were, in rhythm and in the flow and practicing every week. I really think he's going to get back to it. I don't think there's anybody on Carolina that I really fear that much from a coverage standpoint. So I'm going to say that there's no way Ricky Pearsall has 2 bad weeks or off weeks in a row. More than 42.5 passing yards.
Yeah, and listen, someone is going to get yards against the Panthers for the wide receiver. Maybe it's Juwan Jennings, but hopefully it's Ricky Pearsall who steps up. In week 8, Khalil Shakir put up 88 yards against them. Week 9, Romeo Doubs, 91 yards. Week 10, Chris Olave, 104. Week 11, Drake London, 119. And then even earlier in the year, you had Jalen Waddle with 110. And week 6, George Pickens with 168. Like, they give up yards to wide receivers. So someone in this game should have a big game. Maybe it ends up being Jennings, but I would also go your route and take Pearsall.
Yes. And it might be multiple people. That's allowed too. It doesn't have to be just one guy. It could be Pearsall. Maybe it's Pearsall and Kittle. You know, I've heard some not good things about the Panthers linebackers. So maybe it's George and Ricky this week.
And I do expect that, right? I think everyone in Kittle, Pearsall, Christian McCaffrey to all have good games. Now, I do think McCaffrey will have to do it on the ground. The Panthers have been pretty stingy to running backs, and they faced the second best receiving back in the league already twice this year in Bijan Robinson. Held them to 39 receiving yards exactly in both games. We saw CMC only have 40 receiving yards last week. Maybe it's because of all the guys are healthy. So I wouldn't actually go with the Christian McCaffrey receiving projection this week. I wouldn't take the lower either because I don't do that, but that's not what I'm looking at because I don't know if he's going to be utilized all that much in that area this week.
That's interesting because that was one of the ones I had written down because it's 42.5. That's the number for Christian McCaffrey. That is not a lot.
I definitely want to take the under. Like, I'm not taking the less than, but I also just don't. I want to just avoid that one overall. I'd rather take his rushing.
All right. Well, I'll take the receiving then. If you're going to leave it on the board for me, 42.5 receiving yards. And again, it might not even be like a bunch of checkdowns. It might be just a couple of chunk plays gets him there. Ultimately, though, I do think McCaffrey is a great safety blanket for Brock Purdy. The way they use him is just unbelievable. It's fantastic. So I will bank on Christian McCaffrey. Everything you said makes sense, but the man is a friggin' machine. So I will take that one. Where does your pick number 2?
I'm going Tetero McMillan. I'm taking him. His receiving yards are sitting at 62.5. Take the more than. Last week, 12 targets, 8 receptions, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He had 99 receiving yards in week 8. So out of the last 4 games, he's had at least 99 receiving yards. In week 10, he had 60, so just below this, but they only scored 7 points in that game. We don't expect that to happen against the 49ers, who have allowed at least let me see here. I had S40 because I have another one I want to do. Like last week, they allowed both Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch to have more than 62.5 receiving yards. In week 10, they allowed both Adams and Puka Nacua to have at least 62.5 receiving yards. In week 9, Darius Slayton had 62. In week 8, both Jalen Noel and Xavier Hutchinson had at least 62 receiving yards. So it's just like every week, multiple guys are doing this, and Tetero McMillan is the top guy there.
I don't see how they stop it. The Niners, even at their best, the Niners have let number 1 wide receivers pretty much go crazy against them. That was another one that I had written down. The Niners just don't lock down like individual receivers in that way, and they're certainly not going to do it this time. And even if you agree with us that the Niners could get up big early, well, guess what? They're going to have to be chucking the ball and throwing it. So I had this one written down as well. This was one of my favorite Panthers picks. So I completely understand it. I support it. If you didn't take it, I was absolutely going to take it.
And you're allowed to put your name down for the ones that you had written down too.
Right. Well, I have too many written down. That's the problem.
Okay.
I'm always like, ooh, I like this. And then what I actually pick on the show, I try to like hold myself back a little bit because it's a little scary. I will take Rico Dowdle anytime touchdown. The Niners are not going to shut the Panthers out. If the Panthers are going to score, it's going to be one of 2 people, Tet McMillan or Rico Dowdle. I think that he'll find a way in eventually at some point, whether it's first drive, because sometimes the Niners defense on the first drive, doesn't look as good as it looks later in the game, or maybe it's a garbage time touchdown at the end of the game, but they all count the same. You have to make at least one bet for multiple teams for sleeper. So I will take Rico Dowdle anytime touchdown.
And I do think you're overlooking one guy. You keep saying just Tetero McMillan or Rico Dowdle. Like Xavier Legette is a big boy. He's not going to be easy to cover. He's 6'3", 227 pounds. And last week he had 83 receiving yards and a touchdown. He's a big play guy. So he doesn't need that many receptions in the game. He only had 4 receptions last week. And I mean, either he does absolutely nothing or he has a good game, right? Like since week 7, he has had 2 big games with 92 receiving yards and a touchdown in week 7 and that game last week. The rest of the games this year have been pretty much pointless, but he's sitting at just 25.5 receiving yards this week that he needs more than. And in every game since week 4, the 49ers have allowed at least 2 wide receivers to hit at least 40 receiving yards in the game. And again, he only needs 25.5, so 26 receiving yards. And it's always been at least 2 receiving players each week hitting at least 40 yards, typically over 60 yards. 2 wide receivers are going to have a good game, a solid game. And I do think it'll be Xavier Legette as the other guy.
I mean, they put him in the slot on Upton Stout. That could be one play.
I think he has a touchdown in this game too. I'm staying away from all picks of touchdowns because those have pretty much been the ones I've gotten wrong this year. They're too risky, but I do also expect him to score a touchdown in this game.
Okay. So
now that I said it, I get credit for the touchdown, but that's not against me. So.
Okay. Do you have any more?
I don't know.
Okay. So right now I have you down for Brock Purdy, more than 1.5 touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm.
Teteroa McMillan, more than 62.5 receiving yards. Xavier Legette, more than 25.5 receiving yards.
Yes.
Only one 49ers pick from you this week.
I know. Can I put my name down for the Ricky Pearsall one?
Yes, absolutely. Cool. You can. Okay. And so I'm going to go Ricky Pearsall, more than 42.5 receiving yards. Christian McCaffrey, more than 42.5 receiving yards. It is crazy that McCaffrey and Pearsall have the same number, but okay. And I will take Rico Dowdle anytime touchdown. Something in my head is screaming at me. Do something with George Kittle. Like my brain is not letting me. I'm trying to look at the number really quick because I didn't write it down before the show. So let me go on the Sleeper app here and let's just scan really quick. Receiving yards. Kittle's number is 53.5. See, that's why I stayed away because I think he'll be right in that 50, 60 yard range.
Yeah, it's hard because we do expect the wide receivers to get involved. And Christian McCaffrey will get his, even if the yards aren't up there. He's still going to get his targets. I wouldn't take less than. I'm not going to be surprised if he has a 60-plus yard game, but it's hard to take that because it is right where we expect him. I have decided I'm putting my name down for a Legette touchdown. It's 3.62 times your money for a Legette anytime touchdown. So I'm taking it. Yeah.
Sometimes the number is just too good to resist, right? You see it there, and that's how they get you. They are suckering you right in. There's another palm tree that's going to go up somewhere because Michelle made that pick. No. Hopefully you hit it. Hopefully we continue to hit all of ours again. Almost 70% of our picks have been correct this season. We are rolling along, and we hope that continues just like the 49ers continue on Monday Night Football. We'll be live after the game. We're going to do a 3-man weave on Monday because it's usually Vish's show. So the instant reaction is going to be me, Vish, and Levin. Hopefully that means we don't let Levin talk as much. I think everybody would be better off if that happened, but it'll be a little different show, but I am looking forward to it. It's just a bummer we have to sit through all of Sunday.
I know. I hate Monday Night Football games because by the time Monday Night rolls around, I'm so sick of football because I've worked so much for that. I love it by the time Thursday comes again, but like by the time Sunday Night Football, I'm like, oh, and then especially Monday night, I'm like, nobody needs this. I wish it was just Thursday through and Sunday, but yeah, it does stink not to have your team play on Sunday but I guess on Monday we'll be excited.
I will lock in on the Sunday night game, obviously, because it's Bucks Rams. So I'll be in on that. And then I'm trying to look, is there another game I want to watch just purely as a fan? Maybe Indy and Kansas.
The Rams Bucks game has to be the top one for us to be watching.
Right. But that's Sunday night. So like during the day, I'm saying.
Okay.
Anyway, we got a quick super chat here from Joseph Ernberg who says, bum-ass Niners getting cooked by the Panthers. Rob is the GOAT. All right, well, that ended nicely. I don't know why you think the 49ers are bum-ass. They've got a better record than the Panthers. Niners have 7 wins.
Yeah, I don't really get that. Other game for the 49ers to be watching on Sunday, the Steelers versus the Bears. I will obviously be watching that game closely as a Steelers fan, but I mean, all 49ers Nation this week should be a Steelers fan because you want the Bears to lose for sure.
I completely agree with that. Oh, by the way, Antonio asked a fantasy question. Michelle, my 2 top wide receivers are injured. Which 2 wideouts would you start? Pickens, Michael Wilson, or Pearsall?
I do like Pearsall this week, but I'm still going to stick with Pickens and Michael Wilson.
Pickens is, oh my God, man.
Yeah.
He is. If he gets his head on straight, he's terrifying out there.
Imagine the Steelers actually just having DK Metcalf and Pickens. That would be great.
Couldn't be you. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. This is your first time checking us out. We always make our picks every Friday on the show. Please subscribe again. Give us another chance. I promise you will like what you see. If you want more from Michelle, check out The Analyst in the Armchair. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts. You can find it on YouTube as well. Or if you want even more Majuk in your life, Locked On Fantasy every single day as well. Pretty much all you do is sleep, work for NFL Network, and podcast.
Yeah, and you can read my articles on pff.com. I post 3 of those a week and my Fire and Ice article is up, so you can see all of my fantasy takes. I put every single fantasy player into a category, an emoji, so you can go see that.
She never stops. Thank you, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Bye, y'all.